Good morning and welcome to the Sunday Morning Sports Podcast. I hope everybody's doing well out there. I am BA. I'm joined along with Jack Hirsch, James J. Train Martin, and of course, last but not least, Keith Engel. I hope gentlemen are doing good today on this March Madness Selection Sunday. Also, it is St. Patrick's Day, so happy St. Patty's Day to everybody that has a wee little bit of, Irish in them. Also today is the Oscars. I know that's some off the kilter, but it's a big day on Sunday. So hope everybody's enjoying it. Well, we'll start enjoying it. We're going to start off here with the WBC because there were some things that happened last night that we need to talk about, like Venezuela taking out Japan in the semis. What did you guys think about that? I mean, I was kind of surprised, but they came to play.
I was very surprised. Obviously, there's some really good players on Venezuela, but Japan was one of the prohibitive favorites to get to the final and probably win. But this was a fun game. Venezuela. I always say it wrong. Venezuela got out to a lead, and then Japan came back. So it was back and forth for a good part of the early portion of this game before Venezuela got their last lead and kind of pulled away a little bit. But this just shows you that these Latin American teams are always strong anyway, right? But the rest of, and we're going to talk about another team in a little bit, but the rest of these teams that are playing in this tournament are getting better, it seems, every single tournament. You saw, even though they didn't get out of pool play, teams like Australia and Great Britain, the Netherlands, they played better than they played at any point in time in the history of this tournament. So you'll start to see more of these teams, I think, advance out of these pools into the knockout rounds, different teams. And Venezuela is kind of been the weak child of the Latin American teams, I think. Just my opinion from what I can see from reading articles and whatnot. Everybody talks about the Dominican Republic for good reason, obviously. Puerto Rico. But just an exciting baseball. This is why I like this tournament a lot. The games are good for the most part. You don't see a lot of blowouts anymore unless you're playing the Dominican Republic right now. So lots of fun. For me, lots of fun. I'm a big proponent of this tournament and always have been. And I hope it continues to get better and better.
I mean, a lot of people were projecting a United States-Japan final. That was the talk. They were salivating over that. Otani on one side, Judge on the other side. I mean, we knew there were other teams that could spoil the party, but they were notably Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic. But, even though we knew Venezuela was good, we weren't thinking of them. In Italy, who Brian's going to get to a little while ago, they weren't even on anyone's radar. I mean, they're the real Cinderella story of this tournament, Italy.
For sure.
But it's dangerous. It's one and done formula. In baseball, anything can happen. I mean, we hear it in basketball, and we're going to talk about it later with the NCAA tournament, where anyone can upset anyone on a given day. But it's even more so in baseball, because one team could thoroughly outplay the other, and you could hit a line drive at a fielder half the time, and the other half hit long fly balls. So for one game, I mean, it's a real danger with these teams. And we saw it with the United States, not only losing to Italy, but against Canada, we thought they would come back with a vengeance. They get off to a 5-0 lead. Then it's 5-3. Canada has a couple of guys on base. You're thinking, could the United States actually lose a second game in a row to a team that they're far superior to? It didn't quite happen, but the idea that it could have.
You saw some warning signs with Japan too, by the way, because they had played some close games with teams we thought that they would kind of have no trouble with. Great Britain stayed with them for a while. Korea stayed with them for a bit. So again, there were some warning signs here.
Well, I mean, that can go for the United States too. I mean, they had warning. They already lost to Italy.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, Italy. Right. Italy beat Puerto Rico also to face Venezuela in the semifinal game. So that'll be interesting. Italy has been playing. I think Italy had got inspired by the fact that they beat the United States. I think that they've been playing a lot better baseball, even from the standpoint where they started from. So,
do you not think that Italy maybe woke a sleeping giant in the United States? Maybe they woke up because of how talented they are.
Possibly. Italy's a great story. As I was referring to before, I mean, when this tournament started, I don't believe Italy even qualified the first couple of tournaments. And then when they got in, it was a slow build. But again, with the liberal requirements, I guess, to be able to play on one of these teams, they've got a lot better ball players now, obviously. And so have these other countries that I mentioned before.
And I think the players get more into it as the tournament goes along. I really think at this point it means an awful lot to them. In the tournament, they see it baseball's version of the World Cup. It doesn't start out that way. It starts out slow, and a lot of players don't even know whether they want to play in this tournament. Just the idea they have to make up their minds tells you a lot about it. But at this point, I really think there is a lot of national pride, more so for the public, the people of those countries, especially the smaller countries. What would this mean to Italy? Imagine they win this tournament. It would be the equivalent of when the United States hockey team, upset the Russians in 1980. That's what it would mean to Italy.
If Italy wins this tournament, I think Brian Cashman should offer Francisco Cervelli the Yankee manager's job that day and fire Aaron Boone. Yeah, I got Aaron Boone in this conversation, Jack.
Why did I not think this was going to turn to Aaron Boone at some point in this conversation?
The saga of the firing Aaron Boone campaign continues.
Right.
Well, he got to the World Series a year ago, but he didn't get to the World Series last year.
I didn't have a real candidate. Jack would say, who are you going to replace him with? Now I got a guy, Francisco Cervelli. So there you go.
So Friday, the Dominican Republic beat Korea 10-0. Dominican Republic's looking really, really good. And the United States beat Canada 5-3. So those two will meet up in the semifinal as well. Do you guys are you still confident that it's going to be U.S. versus whoever wins between Venezuela and Italy?
I'm hopeful. I'm not 100% confident.
How's your confidence factor?
There's no confidence factor in a tournament like this. There's no confidence factor.
I'm talking about as a fan, Jack.
As a fan, I mean, it's so unpredictable.
60% Dominican Republic, 40% U.S.
Look, I'm still 100% in as a fan. I want the U.S. to advance, but you got to look at the realities. This is the best lineup anybody could roll out. I mean, they're leading in every single offensive category that you can think of. They're far and away better than anybody. They got there's not an easy out in that whole lineup. Austin Wells might be the easiest out, and we just talked about him having a couple of big home runs. So up and down that lineup, there's nowhere to take a breath, right? Fortunately, the U.S. has got their best pitcher going, so it worked out. Paul Skeens is going. The pitch limits are a little higher. He could go 80 pitches today if he has to. And plus the bullpen's rested. I think, look, if Mark DeRosa realized what's going on and wakes up during this game, stays awake during the game, I think they have certainly a chance to win it.
Paul Skeens is going to be hard to hit. He's elite. You get the feeling he'll be up for this game and he'll be at his best.
The bullpens are what's going to matter because, again, they can only go 70, 80 pitches, all you're going to see. So the bullpens matter. And that's where some of the weaker teams, and I thought Italy would fall backwards eventually, right? But
why are they only allowed to go 70, 80 pitches? I don't get it, because the major league teams don't want their pitches put under risk. They should have nothing to do with this. Well, I mean, this is supposed to be extra important. It's the World Cup of baseball. And managers and ball clubs are dictating, who aren't in the tournament. Come on.
I would normally agree with you, Jack, but the time of year we're playing this, they can't go out there and throw 110 pitches because, they're 2 weeks into spring training when it starts. So normally I would agree with you, but and they got to protect their players somehow. And the only guys I see any limits put on are the pitchers, and they go up. It goes up.
They're a month into spring training, not 2 weeks. And you
Am I
start
right? It's not 100%.
preparing for the World Cup earlier. That's all you have to do. If you know you're on the World Cup team,
That's
you're
fair.
prepared to be peaked at this time of the year. And Major League Baseball should have a rule for the World Cup players that after the World Cup ends, they could maybe take a week off to join their team or something to that effect.
Well, as long as they want MLB to participate, they're going to have some say in this, unfortunately. Because I normally would agree with everything you're saying. If this was played mid-season, I would say, why are we putting any pitch restrictions on anybody? But when you have it in the regular season, how are you going to argue it here? Some guys are at 80 or 90 pitch restrictions in the regular season, for crying out loud, which shouldn't be.
Yeah, the day that yesterday was the scheduled day that School was supposed to pitch for the WBC, for the USA, and he played an exhibition game and he had 7 strikeouts in that game.
Scopo's a
Kind of like mixed in between
the
that.
team. Yeah, I mean, he's with your Detroit Tiger team. You shouldn't even root for him at this point. Let him leave as a free agent at the end
Jack,
of the year.
go fly kite, Jack.
He abandoned the national team. He quit on his teammates.
Sure.
He didn't quit on his teammates because he's playing for the Tigers. That's his teammates.
I will agree with Jack to this. He should not have gone and played if he didn't plan on staying. I agree with him 100%.
Pitching in an exhibition game for the Tigers when his country needs him, the USA. Come on.
When his country needs him, Jack.
His country needs him. We at war?
We're right. That's what I was going to say. Play a baseball game. This is World War III, brother.
So you have no national pride. No national pride with this.
I do.
I mean, this is just maybe the problem is in the United States.
Look,
we take this too lightly. It's like an exhibition game to us. We lose. Who cares? We win. It's nice. But we move on. It means so much to the other countries. I mean, where's the patriotic pride here?
Think about it like this, Jack. He left. Somebody took his place that was deserving to be on the team as well. So go ahead and say all you want to say about Scooble. But the guy that replaced him has a chance to win with the U.S. team. So
I don't like any of that either. Look, I'm not going to go so far as to say if Garrett Cole was there and went home, I would never root for him again. I'm not going to say that. But I don't think you should commit to this if you're not going to be there for the entire run. And I don't like the fact that they can adjust these rosters on a whim. I mean, the U.S. brought in like 3 or 4 new pitchers after the quarterfinals. You're going to get a guy, probably Joe Ryan's going to pitch the final, who wasn't even part of this team in the beginning. So
I think you probably would find more pride if it was the Olympics. If there's something like that was going on, then I doubt that he would have left if there was baseball in the Olympics.
The same way.
No, he would not have. I guarantee you he wouldn't have left. Not Olympics. You can't put WBC's rankings in comparison to the Olympics. It's just a different. It's baseball.
I bet. Okay, baseball is going to be in the Olympics. But I think to the players, winning the World Cup would be just as important as winning in the Olympics. It would be the same thing, maybe more so. I agree.
More than the Olympics?
In the soccer? Yes.
Yeah. The World Cup means much more.
Oh, World Cup.
Yeah,
for sure.
Than it does winning
that's the World Cup. That's different than the WBC.
Wait. Wimbledon means more to win in tennis than it does winning an Olympic gold medal.
By the way,
that's their Super Bowl.
But that's exactly, Jack. You can't really compare that. This is totally different.
No.
This is different.
WBC is like down here, and the Olympics are right here. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is.
I'm only going to put.
You can still have pride for him, though. But
let me just about Scuba very quickly. I'm only putting him on a 1-year penalty at the end of the season. If he signs a free agent contract with the Yankees, I'm all in on him.
Jack's back there again, James. He finds a way to back his way.
1 year.
I'm telling you, he's on both sides of the fence, Keith, all the time.
He has a clean slate.
This tournament does have Olympic implications, too, because there's only going to be, I believe, 6 teams that play in the Olympics this coming summer.
Venezuela qualified by winning yesterday. They qualified.
Those 4 teams that are left have qualified. Yeah. So everybody else has got to play their way in. So there is some Olympic implications for sure.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing about it, the Olympics are going to take place during the regular baseball season.
Correct.
So I don't know how that's going to work. I really
MLB has not made any. They haven't made any decision on whether they're going to let players participate or not. I would sense no, but
I don't see how you can. Yeah.
What are you going to get? Like farm league players to play?
Minor leaguers, probably they could
college
send
players.
Yeah, college players. There you go.
But what happens if you play like Aaron Judge, and it's been a dream of yours to play in the Olympics, and you absolutely insist, and you say, "I'm going. You can find me. You could do whatever you want to me." Yankees would be powerless. They couldn't find him unless they could legally prevent him. But if they legally prevented him, it would be a public relations disaster if he criticized the Yankees, say, why am I not allowed to represent my country here?
Well, it wouldn't come down to the Yankees unless MLB said it was okay to begin with. They have to first say they can go.
Well, MLB, it would be a public relations disaster.
They're going to
no, it wouldn't. I don't think so, because I'm pretty sure it's probably already in their contracts that states that, you know, you're going to lose money or something like that. It's already there. I guarantee you.
This is
maybe the Olympic Committee guys should be allowed to draft one player off every team to go in the Olympics. I mean, maybe something could be worked out in that regard.
I don't think they should be able to force to do it. That's for sure.
Isn't there a proposed work stoppage that's going to happen with the Major League Baseball?
Yeah, but isn't the Summer Olympics? No, that's 28. So 27 is when we're looking at a work stoppage. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm sure that's going to play in it.
Would it be interesting? Well, it's not going to be if that lockout or strike lasts into July of 28. We got a serious problem in baseball, bigger than who's playing in the Olympics.
True. All right, so let's switch over from the WBC to the NCAA March Madness tournament that's going to come up. They're doing the selection Sunday today. A lot of conference finals will be decided as well today. Yesterday, the teams, we had Michigan beating Wisconsin. They're going to be facing Purdue, who beat UCLA yesterday as well for the Big Ten Conference Championship. Florida, what happened to Florida? They got pummeled by Vanderbilt. I mean, absolutely hammered, 91-74. And Florida wasn't even in this game. They weren't at all. I don't know what happened to them in this game. Keith, what's your thoughts on that whole situation?
I just got to say, every dog has his day.
Yep, true.
That's it.
Well, they were the number one seed. That's the thing that was shocking about it. How badly they lost, how flat they were.
I think Keith is frozen with us there.
I could say that'll be a wake-up call. I thought Keith was just stunned too at the score, and he just kept.
Well, how do you know Keith wasn't just stunned, and then Brian out of the picture?
He did say that. He did say that yesterday in our chat. He just said that was a big surprise to him. So he probably was stunned. Yeah,
he just froze again.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a one-off. It's a one-off.
There's surprises like this each year. Not every game is going to go according to form.
And let it be now in the tournament versus in the actual tournament. You know, now in their conference tournament.
What is the main advantage, you think, to being the number one seed? We're talking about this. Bottom line is you have to win your 6 games to win the tournament at the end. You're not
the only main advantage is that you play the weaker teams. You play the supposed weaker teams.
So let's say you're the 2nd seed. Is it a big difference between first and second? I think
one from like 1 to 6 or 7.
Get the better odds. Yeah.
It's a little better, but I don't think it's devastating.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you're right. It's not devastating, but I mean, the crazy thing about the tournament is there's always some Cinderella team that comes in and and can knock off one of those big teams like that. You know, it's too wide open. Go ahead.
Let's get ready for this. As soon as the selection committee comes up with their picks. We're going to hear the complaints, who was left out, how outrageous it was. We heard it in football with Notre Dame. And the big story is, as far as who might be left out, Miami of Ohio, the unbeaten, run, and Auburn. Auburn, who has a pretty weak 17-16 record, but they had just about the toughest schedule in college basketball, and they beat some really good teams.
Right.
How do you evaluate that, guys? You put in the team that had the weakest possible schedule and won all their games, or a team that had a murderous schedule, won some, lost some?
At some point, wins matter.
Mhm.
All I can tell you, 31 and
That's it.
So I think he froze
He's
again.
stunned again.
His internet must be.
4 in.
Yeah, but if I'm going to take that
There he
attitude,
is.
the teams that don't make the tournament are going to be given an invitation to enter the NIT tournament. And
Nobody cares.
unfortunately, no one cares
Yeah.
about the NIT tournament, when they're in there. But
No
the
one cares
team that
anymore.
wins it all, I mean, are you going to
NIT
say they
stands for
won a
not in the
championship?
tournament.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
which is
Not
kind of
in
sad.
tournament.
It was a good tournament, until we went to 64 teams, 68 now. But back when it was 32 teams, 24 teams, this was NIT had some really good tournaments.
It's
Yeah,
just
so was
lost
the
its
Pro Bowl.
luster now, Keith. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like you said. It used to be really, really,
Yeah.
really popular.
Just like the Pro Bowl.
I apologize for disappearing. The power went out, and when the generator kicks in, it takes a minute for the internet to pop back on. So I apologize.
We thought you froze by the score of Florida losing to Vanderbilt.
No,
You were stunned.
I was stunned by that. Vanderbilt being in the final here is a huge story. The SEC, it shows you a little bit how deep the SEC is. Vanderbilt and Arkansas, who are both really good teams playing for the championship. And I know you were talking about Miami of Ohio. They belong in. I don't care if they get beat by 20 in the first round. Doesn't matter. If they play the first four, they'll probably win
The
it.
340th weakest schedule they had. Anyone
It doesn't
could have done
matter.
what they
Who
did.
cares? Nobody will play them. Nobody will play them. So that's not their problem. When teams from the SEC and the Big Ten won't even schedule them, how is that? How are they supposed to get a better schedule?
That should have been
And Jack,
in the off
you-
season.
You mentioned the comparison between the NCAA football versus basketball. It's different. It's different. Physically in football, it's different. You can see the obviously comparisons versus a group of 5 versus a power 4. It's just no comparison. But in basketball, these smaller schools have an opportunity, have chances, and because they used to, some of these guys out there are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", and they're all out there competing with the same type of level of talent. It's just some people can have a good run coming from a small school.
Well, the
Like
mid-majors,
Miami of Ohio.
You're right, James. The mid-majors have lost some of their advantage with all the NIL and transfer portal stuff because kids don't. One of the factors that always played into the mid-majors playing well is they'd have kids that played for 4 years together too. So when they matured, they had more mature teams. You got 4th and 5th year seniors playing against one and done kids who have more talent, as you said. But these are more cohesive, experienced teams, and that's why you'd get some of these huge upsets that you'd get in the past. But you might not see those as much as you saw before. But I do think they're in. I think they're going to end up 11 or 12 seed, though, and maybe playing on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, but some of these schools are just so thrilled to be in, just to take the court, against the powerhouse team. From where you're located, not that far away, Keith, Binghamton. I remember, a lot of years ago, they were given the invitation into the tournament, and they played Duke. They got blown out, but just the idea that they could be in with the elite Duke team, be on the same court, was the experience of a lifetime for those kids.
We see it this year with Siena getting in out of the MAC. They've got some wins. They've won 4 times in this tournament in their history. They haven't been there in 15 years, but they beat Stanford. I remember back in 1989, I want to say, they beat a Stanford team that was like 2nd or 3rd in the country. They beat them in the first round. So and you're also looking at a coach who might be the next coach of Syracuse. That's right here at Siena, and Jerry McNamara. So It's going to be a fun run for them.
The tournament committee, they asked them about Miami being in there. Of course, they can't tell you who they're going to put in there, but they go by the metrics that they have in front of them. And one of the big metrics this year that a lot of these guys are picking these teams from is wins above the bubble. Yeah. And Miami is 38th in wins above the bubble, which currently is in front of Iowa, Texas A&M, Missouri, NC State, and bubble teams Auburn, SMU, Texas, and Oklahoma. So I would feel that you're right there, Keith. They'll probably get in as an 11th seed, or whether it's in the main draw or just to prove themselves in the first four. So we'll see what happens with that. They belong in it, though.
Guys, is there any way, this just popped into my head, to work in a play-in system where few of the teams that on the bubble, as you said, play one another over, a few-day period, like a play-in tournament to see who gets into the NCAA tournament? Is that realistic?
They're already trying to extend. I'm sorry, Keith. I just want to say they're already trying to extend the tournament as far as, like adding more teams now. That's just going to be too much.
I don't mean add in more teams. It's a play-in type format. They're not actually in the tournament. Like the NBA, we think of the play-in teams as being in the playoffs, but they're actually not officially playoff teams.
Well,
they're vying for the right. Can we do that in college?
Technically, the first four of those 8 teams are playing their way into the real field, right? Mm-hmm. They don't even have a seed. They're playing their way to a 16 and to an 11 or 12. I can't remember where those at-large teams are. I think it's 11. But so you already have it. If they're going to extend this, I would prefer that it be something along the lines of what you're talking about, where you have teams that aren't actually in the tournament but trying to play their way in. Take all these bubble teams and let them earn their way in. That's the one thing you saw this whole week with championship week. Teams on the bubble were playing themselves out the bubble every single night. Oklahoma, Auburn, who else? Teams that shouldn't even be there, by the way. Stanford, Cincinnati.
Auburn beat some good teams like St. John's, and I watched the St. John's Connecticut game yesterday. Connecticut looked out of whack, like they don't even belong in the tournament. That's how bad they looked.
That happens sometimes in this championship week. You get some weird results. You see it in the SEC. We just talked about it. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, Florida's still the best team coming out of the SEC right now. One game isn't going to change my mind on that. I don't need to see Auburn with 2 games over 500 and 5 games under 500 in their conference in the NCAA tournament. I don't need to see that. If that's what you want, then
okay. Let me put it another way, guys. Who would be more of a threat to advance in the tournament, Auburn or Miami of Ohio? I think we'd all agree Auburn would be more of a threat to beat good teams than Miami would.
If you're not going to give Miami a seed that's worthy of a 31-1 team, they'd have less of a chance. Yeah, but if you gave them a 4th seed, which you're not going to do, they'd have as good a chance of winning as Auburn would win playing as a 11.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that won't happen. That's not going to happen. This was my argument about Miami all the way. Wichita State back in 2015 is a great example of a team that's going undefeated in the regular season, just like Miami. And they were a number 1 seed playing out of the Missouri Valley. They didn't play any better schedule than Miami of Ohio played this year. They got beat in the second round against the NCAA. Kind of screwed them that year, matching them up against Kentucky in the second round. But I think that's a fair comparison. And when you look at schedules and strength of schedules and whatnot, Missouri Valley wasn't that much better than the MAC in my mind. So, look, they're probably going to be one and done unless they play in the first 4 anyway.
I think everybody on this panel except Jack agrees that Miami of Ohio should be in the tournament period. It should be.
My theory is that they did what they had to do. They couldn't do more. But it's a situation that should have been addressed before the season. Well, what happens if Miami even goes unbeaten with their strength of schedule? We knew it was going to be very weak. Well, how are we going to evaluate them at the end of the year? That's when it should have been addressed. Because I'm sure you give Auburn a bunch of other schools the same schedule. They would have done what Miami did. Miami had to play tougher competition. How would they have fared?
Well, they do. They already have criteria in place. I mean, you don't know Miami's going to go 31-0 in the regular season. There's no way to address that before the season starts, right? So they already have, as Brian talked to. They've got all these metrics, and some of them you got to be a mathematician to understand some of the stuff they're looking at. Quad 1, 2,
340th in strength of schedule.
I get
That's
that.
ridiculously.
Yeah, but they're also 38th in wins above the bubble, Jack, and that's a metric that they use and they're going to start going by. A lot of them said that was something that changes their mind about what teams get in and what teams get out. And he said that's a very exact metric that they use now. They're starting.
Keith is a Miami guy. He's upset what happened to them in football. So he's kind of hoping.
Well, that's Miami of Ohio.
That's a different
Miami's Miami to him.
there's two.
Like Jack. I know Jack knows what he's talking about. Where's he going with this?
I think
Jack is being combative.
I think he's making fun of my Perth education now that I don't know there's two Miamis. That's what I think.
Well, I think you answered the question already here, Keith, about who will secure the final number 1 spot, seeing that Florida decided to blow that chance.
Hey.
However, at the same time, Houston and UConn screwed up too. And then, of course, they beat Iowa State. So, or Arizona beat Iowa State. So, it's I still see them keeping that number 1 spot.
I think Florida's as we speak today, I think Florida still got the best shot at that because all the teams around them, as you said, Iowa State went out, Houston went out. I just can't see how you're going to move anybody else up. If Michigan State didn't make a run, like they could have jumped from 8, let's say, but I think Florida probably still gets it.
And with that being said, Keith, let me ask before you say something, Jack. With that being said, Keith, do you think that Florida losing this game the way they did to Vanderbilt, that's just their one-off, and they're going to make a run after this?
I think it was a one-off. And Kentucky's a good basketball team. It's not like they're bad, right? I mean, they've gotten healthy, and they played pretty well the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, I think it's a one-off situation. I don't think this team is, not as good as what we saw the last 12 games.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt, yeah.
I'm sorry, Vanderbilt. My bad. I was thinking of some other video I saw this morning of Kentucky and Florida.
Is there any other college game outside of what we saw yesterday with UConn and St. John's where the big attraction was the two coaches, the non-players? That's what kind of made it intriguing and exciting. Darn it. Hurley against Patino, nothing to do with player against player, and it made it must-view watching, and the game turned out to be a dud. St. John's gets off to a 10-0 lead. And the only time UConn made kind of a mini run with 15 minutes in the second half, they got it down to 7, and that was it. And then they fell back. In one sequence, UConn missed 4 or 5 shots in a row. They kept getting the rebound, kept missing a shot at a time they were 10 points down. And you kept waiting for UConn to make a run, to cut it to 3-4 points, and then the Garden would be rocking and all the excitement, but the game turned out to be like a dud at the end.
To the coach's point, Jack, there used to be a lot of these types of matchups that would be intriguing, right? When the coaches face each other, especially in the Big East. But you don't see that many anymore. And this one has really turned into that type of old school kind of coaching rivalry. And it's fun to watch. And kudos to St. John's, by the way. They won the tournament title, the regular season title for the first time ever, 2 years in a row, and the conference tournament title, the regular season and the tournament title for the first time 2 years in a row, both of them. So kudos to them. Rick Pitino's done a great job at St. John's. I mean, they're going to up with a 3 or 4, and where that team came from, when he took over, that's tremendous. This team hasn't been relevant in 3 decades.
Has UConn fallen off from their championship pedigree from where they were a couple of years ago?
They're not nearly as good as a team that won back-to-back, no, but it's still a good basketball team, and I wouldn't count them out here in March for sure, the rest of March in the tournament. But this doesn't help them. I mean, they're going to get a 2 seed probably. I don't see them falling to a 3. If they get a 2 seed, 1 and 2, it's not that big a difference, quite frankly. I mean, those teams at the bottom, we see 16s beat 1s now, so 15s can beat 2s, and I don't think the matchups are going to be that different. Keeps them on the opposite side of the bracket from the 1. So I wouldn't count them out for sure. There's a lot of teams that go in here. There's a lot of up and down teams. Kansas could go on a 6-game run and get to the championship game for sure. They're talented as any team in the country, but they don't bring it they don't bring it every night. It's a really good team.
And to your point, Jack, that the Florida Vanderbilt game wasn't very exciting either after the first 10 minutes of that game. Vanderbilt was just destroying Florida, and that might help Vanderbilt get a higher seed as well.
They'll definitely move up. Yeah,
because most of the teams that were above them lost. So a lot of teams above them lost in tournament play or whatever the case may be. So they may move up quite a bit in the tournament bracket. So we'll see about that.
It'll definitely help them, Brian. They've been trending down on that seeding line for the last 3 weeks because they hadn't played that well, but this will help a lot this run.
And we could talk about, of course, good old Duke. Duke won their ACC championship. Duke is the first team in ACC history that's won a conference championship in basketball, men's basketball, women's basketball, and their football program.
Congratulations.
So that's a good set. Yeah, it's a good precedent by Duke.
Duke's injured players, are they due back soon, or what's the story?
No, Caleb is out indefinitely.
He's out. It sounds to me like he's out for good, Caleb Foster, which is a huge loss for them. And we saw a bit of that in this tournament. Their close win against Florida State, for example. But and I think it'll definitely affect them in the big tournament. So we'll see. But not having your starting point guard is a huge deal once you get to the NCAA tournament, for sure.
Yeah, and they've scratched they scratched and crawled in the last couple of games.
Yeah.
If you stifle Cameron Boozer, you're gonna have to. There's really, that team is a well put together team. Don't get me wrong, but you can tell the absence of Caleb. You really can tell the absence of him. So it'll be interesting in the tournament for Duke.
But kudos to John Shire for finding a way to get it done and win this tournament without Caleb Foster. He's done a great job. This is 3 out of 4. This is 3 titles in 4 years for him in the ACC. That's Coach K-esque. I'm not calling him Coach K, but that's Coach K-esque type of performance. He's done a great job with that program and keeping it at a high level. We don't always see that. Just look at Syracuse, what happened when Jim Boeheim walked away, to see what happens when a legend leaves.
Boeheim made a comment the other day. The reason the coach got fired who replaced him was because their 2 best players played poorly. But isn't that normally the case? As a coach, you got to get the players to play well.
What about the other 4 years or 3 years? He had 4 years to get something done. He was 2 games over 500. That's not good enough at Syracuse. It's just not. They've lost a lot of their national relevance. Syracuse has been a power in basketball for 60 years.
Well, it was the Jim Boeheim brand attached to it, the mental.
Well, yeah, and Boeheim took it to another level, obviously, when he got things rolling there. But they've really fallen off the map. And going to the SEC has hurt them a lot. The ACC, that's hurt them a ton. Having to go there with the football team really the Big East got screwed over big time in this whole realignment thing. That's a different topic on a different day.
Well, since you're mentioned about the injury to Duke, segue into this too. This is another thing that should teams that lost key players to injuries be penalized in their seedings? I don't think they should.
No,
but
the
committee might look at that. They're saying the committee looks at that.
As long as they aren't keeping teams, well, they're not going to keep teams out, right? But it will affect their seedings. Should it? Again, it depends on the way you're going to evaluate it. Who's the best team right now, right? Not over the course of the year. This isn't necessarily an evaluation of your whole season, but it's often how you're playing right now. Whether we're talking about bubble teams or high seeds. And it's not like football where they can leave Florida State out because they lost their starting quarterback, right?
Exactly.
another place.
I mean, and that's devastating. That was still a devastating thing to think about what happened.
So I don't think it really should affect him. I mean, you want to drop him a line or something. I mean, I guess I'm not going to scream and yell, but I don't think he should be affected. I mean, Duke's not going to lose a number 1 seed because Caleb Foster.
Right. I was just going to say that. And on top of that, it's a team sport.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a team sport. I mean, it's still regarded as a team sport. So one player, I mean, it might be their best player, but you still got there as a team.
Yeah.
Regardless.
I mean, you still got Cameron Boozer. Come on.
Michigan lost one of their star players too, right, Brian? And then they're in the final today too. So, if you go out in the first round of your tournament because of that player being out, partly because of that, then that might affect you. But if you're making it to your conference championship game or winning it, shouldn't affect you at all.
And speaking of certain players that are on that specific team, do you guys think that Cameron Boozer is going to be a lottery pick coming out?
I think Cameron Boozer has more on the line than any other player in this tournament as far as his draft status goes. He's been going anywhere from number 1 to number 3. I don't think he's been looking all that great recently. And if he doesn't play that well in the tournament, I could see him falling down to, 4 or 5, getting in the NBA draft as opposed to being the number 1 overall pick.
I don't feel the same kind of buzz anyway for as far as the top player coming out of here that I felt in the last. Cooper Flagg, we knew was going to be the best player, or top player in the draft, right? I don't. A lot of years you have that. I don't feel like that this year, and I think Boozer has got as good a chance as anybody to be He'll definitely be a lottery pick, I think, James, but I don't think he can fall
he's definitely a lottery pick. He still conceivably could go number 1 overall in the draft if he has a great tournament.
I think so.
But, position-wise, you kind of wonder in the NBA how his game is going to translate. Will he just be another pretty good player? Will he be a real impact player? I mean,
who would you comp him to? That's in the NBA right now. Like, what sort of player?
Oh man, that is not easy. Listen, I didn't think Cade Cunningham was going to be as good as he turned out to be. It took him a while, because sometimes you got to develop. And I thought, unfortunately for you, Zion Williamson was going to be a monster, and he's only been.
He still is a monster. He's just a monster. He's a monster sometimes in the court. He's a monster sometimes in the buffet line. I mean, it just depends which day you're talking. I mean,
Cameron Boozer, he could turn out to be another Mikal Bridges, just a very good player, perennial starter, helping a team a lot. He's not going to be worse than that. But look what happened with Rutgers last year. They had 2 of the first 5 players in the draft came from Rutgers, and Rutgers is awful, Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper. And they haven't exactly been great pros. I mean, Bailey, the stat line doesn't look bad from time to time, but he seems to be one-dimensional. Dylan Harper's going to be fine because he's with Wemby, and San Antonio is going to take off. He's going to be part of championship teams with an S I'm adding into it, because I think it'll be more than one with Wemby. But, some guys you just don't know. And we talked about Duke before, going back into the dark ages. How could a player like Christian Laettner be one of the greatest college players of all time and just be no more than a decent NBA player? Not a really good one, but a decent one. I mean, how does that translate? You tell me.
Well, that was a knock on Duke a lot too, because Duke used to put players in there that really did really good in the college basketball, and then they would not do so good in there. And there's a couple of players that broke that mold, as in Grant Hill did that.
Elton Brand. There's a lot, brother.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving. Yeah, there's a lot of Duke
out of all the players that they put in.
I don't even like Duke
NBA,
like that, but they put some great product out.
Out of all the NBA players that they put in all the players they put in the NBA, though, that was
you talked about John Shire, Coach K's coaching tree. How good's it been? JJ Redick seems to be doing a decent job at the Lakers, but all in all, the Coach K coaching tree, how does that compare to some of the other great coaches? We talk in football. Bill Parcells had a great coaching tree with his assistants. Bill Belichick, not so much so. Even though, Mike Vrabel played for him.
It's not bad.
Well,
No, Quinn Snyder's had a pretty good coaching career, I think. Who was a former coach at Notre Dame? I can't think of his name off the top of my head. He was a coach.
Charlie Weiss.
No.
No. You're talking about basketball.
Basketball. I can't think of his name now. He retired a couple of years ago. I don't know why he went to Northwestern, then he went to Notre Dame. Yeah, it'll come to me after the show. But he hasn't had a horrible coaching tree. Well, and John Shire, by the way, is the main branch and doing a pretty damn good job. So,
and you know what? I got to throw in this too. I might be biased. Obviously, I am biased, but I like Yaxel Lindenborg because he plays. He hasn't had a really good tournament either. He's kind of been on that Cameron Boozer, not to that extreme, but to that actually, Cameron Boozer hasn't been to the Yaxel Lindenberg extreme as far as being in this tournament. But that dude steps up, and he's getting better every game. He gets better and better. And I don't know if he'll come out and go into the lottery or not this year. He is projected to be number 17th in the lottery. I think he's going to go up a little bit higher than that based on other players falling off a little bit. But I kind of like his play. Sometimes without the ball, you see him doing things that, that's what I look at when I look at good basketball players. I see what they do without the ball and assist, block, steals, all that kind of stuff. I don't really just pay attention to how many points they score in a game. It's what they do outside of that. And I think he's going to be a pretty good NBA player once he gets in there. I don't know how your feelings about it. Like I said, I'm on a bias tip. I'm kind of like being Jack right now.
It's funny in basketball. I feel like there's less sure things that actually make it right than maybe other sports because again, it's a much different game, And I don't think it's a knock on schools. We do this in football. We do it in basketball, and it was just the words that you use, Brian. I'm not saying you're knocking Coach K or Duke necessarily, but it's not their job to produce NBA players. Their job is to go out and win in college and win national championships, right? And a lot of times we take guys who don't make it on the next level and we kind of knock them down a level for their college career. One has nothing to do with the other. Great college players don't necessarily have to produce on the next level for me to think that was a great college player. Tim Tebow.
It's a great point, Keith. That's a great point. I didn't even think about that most times that that's what their job is to win college games.
It's to win the college games, yeah.
Now, it does help in recruiting if they're sending guys to the pros. It helps in the recruiting. Right. That certainly helps.
Oh, no. When they're recruiting, they point out the guys who've gone to the NBA. They come up with their record, and the kids take note of which players played for that coach and what the coach could do for them. I think that has to be a major selling point, and it should be.
And the fact that he just has that respect anyway. Coach K has that respect in the NCAA basketball world, that just automatically gets you a bid really into the NBA. So, I mean, what you do with your career once you get into the NBA is on you, obviously, as the player.
Right.
But, I mean, Coach K does coach a different kind of basketball. When he did coach a different kind of basketball with Duke, that's why Duke has been so successful. The players just haven't been – a lot of the players that have gone into the NBA from that program just haven't learned how to transition in the NBA. Again, of course, there's the Grant Hill, Bland, those type of players that come in there and do really good. So it's all what it is. I mean, it's like kind of like Tom Izzo. Tom Izzo has, he has that resume. And players from from his team usually get in it. They're gritty players. Usually, when you get a Michigan State player, you're getting a gritty player. So it's like the style of basketball. That's all. How well it transitions into the NBA.
Well, James makes the point. Like someone like Coach K, so highly respected, they'll call him up the NBA team if they're thinking of drafting a player. And Coach K's would never have knocked one of his players, but you could read between the lines sometimes what he'll say. Like on Zion Williamson, for example, he might say, well, if he really asserts himself, if he dedicates himself, I think he'll be a real great player. He'll use the word if, to give them a hint, the problem they could have. I remember the year when Grant Hill came out of the draft, Glenn Robinson went before him, and Coach K made it clear these teams are going to regret not taking Grant Hill. He kind of took the initiative with that, and that was basically a signal, you guys got to take him. And most famously, it's Bobby Knight calling the Portland GM, who was his friend, telling him, you have to take Michael Jordan ahead of Sam Bowie. Jordan's the greatest player I ever saw. And the GM said, well, but we need a center. And Bobby Knight said, then play Jordan at center. You got to take him.
Right. I know that's right. Let us just switch over to from one basketball to another, the NBA. We're still getting down to the end of the season with the Detroit Pistons and the OKC Thunder still leading their conferences after a 4-game win streak. I told everybody there's always bumps in the road when you have NBA teams. You can't be brilliant all the time unless you're like Chicago when they won 60-something games, Golden State. Sometimes that doesn't always translate to all these teams. But Pistons lost 4 games in a row and then came back and blew out the 3 teams they played after that. So it is what it is. People are all jumping off the ship after that. But OKC has been managing to keep them. They had a pretty good Boston has lost 2 games, but they played against really good teams. What was it? They played OKC, and then they also played San Antonio. And they were very closely contested games. Jaylen Brown, though, dude, you got to calm the hell down. He went ape after he went ape crap after he got a call wasn't made on him, and he just, I don't know what snapped in him before he went out. It was a San Antonio game. I don't know what snapped in him, but he just went ham, and I was like, dude, you're a big part of this team. You can't be doing that kind of stuff, bruh. No. And obviously they lost that game. Well, I don't think they lost that game just because of him, but he helped a great deal in that factor because he went out before halftime in the second quarter. I don't know what happened there. I couldn't tell you what happened there.
I kind of wonder with Tatum coming back, his performances haven't been as dominant. I mean, I kind of
because he's the primary ball handler, but no longer. I mean, if Jason Tatum's coming back and they're trying to integrate Jason Tatum. So, and speaking of last night, they won the game against the Wizards, who wouldn't. But Jason Tatum had 20 points and 14 boards and 7 assists. So he's looking to get back into that old Jason Tatum form. And you see, and then of course, Jaylen Brown's. I think he scored maybe 16 points somewhere around there. But the kid that's really impressive to me is that center, that defensive center, Nemia Queta. It's hard. Nemias. I'm gonna mess that up no matter what. but he's been a major presence for them, especially when Jason Tatum was out. So Boston is still. In the East, they're going to be a problem for any other team. Yeah, thank you. But man, get to the game. The game of the night last night was like playoff atmosphere. That was the Lakers, Los Angeles Lakers versus the
game.
Denver
Nuggets. How the Lakers win the game. What, like 3.5 seconds? They're down 2 points at the foul line. We know they're going to hit
one of the best games
to try to get a rebound, and they get, and Ayton throws it off the rim, and Austin Reeves gets it, and he scores to send it.
It was Austin threw it himself. He threw the ball and got his own rebound and went to the side and made a shot to score to tie at what 0.5.
Well, don't go to the left hand side, and then
Oh. It takes a bit of luck to get you in that point because, I mean, again, you don't know where the ball is going to go when you throw it at the rim at the free throw line. And he made a great shot. But there was a lot of great shots on both sides. I mean, did you see Nikola Jokic running down the court and how fast he was going and he dunked? Man, that guy is super talented, man. super talented at that side. And
You
you look at him, you wouldn't think he can do that.
Looks like
You
me.
know,
I'm
you
just
make a
on
point,
the couch.
Jim.
Or as Tip says, a loaf of white bread. That's what
All right.
No. We talk about the greatest players of all time. And maybe we should start mentioning Jokic's name when we talk about the top 10. We put in
I will.
Bird and Johnson.
In the top 10, I would say.
If you had a choice to have one of them for their whole career, and I picked Jokic over Bird and Magic Johnson, you couldn't argue with me. I'm not saying
What does he have? 3 MVPs? He's got 3 MVPs, right?
I mean, Jokic is great.
And a championship. It's hard to argue against that.
It still slips under the radar being an all-time great.
He's the best passing center of all time in my mind. That guy is.
Well, Bill Walton would get that for the passing.
Well, yeah, but he only played
Yeah.
about 3 seasons, so full seasons.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah,
that's a good call, Jack. But I mean, this guy, he had 14 assists again yesterday. I mean, he's tremendous. If
And he
somebody's going
can
to
hit
average
threes. I mean, it's just
Very
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
But Luka.
Luka doesn't play that great last night. I mean, he was not that good. He was horrible till late in the game when you need him, I guess. But
still managed 30 points though.
it took him
And
about
Austin Reeves.
40 shots.
Played a great game.
took him 40 shots to get 30 points last night.
That's all right.
Yeah, LeBron played 40 minutes.
Not how you get there, as long as you get there.
You know, we got to the point with LeBron. He's the third best player on the Lakers right now.
Yeah,
Third best. And the current state, he's still a darn good player, LeBron. He could help a team. But you kind of wonder his status next season, whether the Lakers are going to want him back, whether he's going to fit into their plans.
Probably not. I'm just gonna say that. I think it'd be mutual as well, because LeBron is probably going to want to be somewhere where I think he's close to retiring. And to me, the best option is Cleveland. And if they keep that same team the way it is right now constructed, they might be a championship competing team, which I think they might be this year. But with LeBron on it, I think he probably is somebody that can come off the bench. You'll look at LeBron probably to be able to, to play the same game he plays, but on the second level, coming off the bench, maybe 6 man a year type thing, and that's crazy to even think. But I mean, he's 41 or 42 years old. Come on.
You make a great point, James. He could legitimately be the best 6 man in the league next season, legitimately, if he accepted that role.
Yep.
Yeah, let's Oklahoma Thunder have won 7 in a row, so they're hot right now. And those said Lakers have won 5 in a row, so they're getting hot at the right time as well. Other teams that are up there, Atlanta Hawks. Look at that, won 9 in a row. They're on the streak, buddy. See if they can get up there and get in the playoff contention, at least challenge to get into playoffs.
And the big key factor of that is that trade, getting rid of Trey out of there and bringing in Kuminga. Kuminga has been a revelation for them, and it's kind of even Steve Kerr had to come out and say something. I think he apologized for something. Steve Kerr is a great coach. I love Steve Kerr. I think he's probably one of the best coaches I've seen, and how he deals with the players.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just can't look. You can't argue 4 championships, man. It's just he comes from a pedigree under Phil Jackson. So I mean, I've got to give him his credit, because I didn't even like the Warriors at all, but I have total and tremendous respect for Steve Kerr for sure.
And on that note, we're close to Sunday Morning Sports Podcast. Yeah. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the Sunday Selection Show. Peace out.